Interstellar came out in 2014. It made $700 million. It's been called Nolan's most ambitious film and his most divisive. Half the people who've seen it say it's a masterpiece. The other half say the ending doesn't make sense. Here's the thing. The people who say the ending doesn't make sense have been watching the wrong film. Because Interstellar isn't a film about space travel, and it never was. And if you've spent 10 years thinking it is, you've missed the entire point of what Nolan built. The science was never the story. The science was the disguise. Welcome back to Spy Dogs. I'm Matt, and today we're opening the case file on the film that hid its real meaning behind the most expensive misdirection in cinema history. Before we get to the thesis, I want you to think about something. Interstellar opens not with space, not with NASA, not with science. It opens with a father and a daughter in a farmhouse, a bookshelf, a ghost, a message Cooper doesn't understand yet. Nolan spent the first 15 minutes of a space epic on a family that's falling apart. Ask yourself why. Here's our thesis. Interstellar is not a film about saving humanity. In our view, it's a film about one man who couldn't say goodbye to his daughter, and what the universe had to do to give him a second chance. Every wormhole, every black hole, every equation on a chalkboard is in service of that single idea. Nolan didn't hide the meaning, he put it in every frame. And he proved it in 3 specific ways. The first revelation starts before Cooper leaves Earth. Murph believes there's a ghost in her bedroom, something moving her books, leaving messages in the dust. Cooper tells her there are no ghosts. He's wrong. And here's what most people miss. The ghost is him. Now, the most common response to this is, that only works because of time travel. It's a paradox. It doesn't count. And I understand that instinct. But here's why it's wrong. Nolan doesn't treat the Tesseract as a paradox. He treats it as a truth the film was always building toward. The ghost scene isn't a twist payoff. It's the thesis statement. The entire film is asking, what if the person you've been looking for was always there, just on the other side of something you couldn't see through? Cooper didn't come back to save humanity. He came back because he couldn't leave her. That's what the ghost was always telling us. The second revelation is Dylan Thomas. Dr. Brand quotes, "Do not go gentle into that good night" 4 times across the film. Most readings treat it as thematic flavor, a scientist quoting poetry to add gravitas. In our view, that's too small a reading. Listen to what the poem actually says. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. It's not about space. It's not about science. It's about refusing to accept that the people you love are gone. Every character in this film is raging against a different kind of dying light. Cooper rages against leaving Murph. Murph rages against her father's absence. Brand rages against the death of everything she was promised. The poem isn't decoration. It's the emotional thesis of every character arc in the film, stated out loud 4 times, in case you missed it the first 3. Nolan told you exactly what this film was about. He just told you in a language most people were too focused on the physics to hear. But here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because Revelation 3 doesn't just change how you see this film. It changes what you think Nolan was saying about love itself. And I'll warn you, it's either the most beautiful thing in the film, or the most terrifying, depending on how you read it. The third revelation is the line that divides audiences more than any other moment in the film. Brand's speech, "Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space." Maybe we should trust that, even if we can't yet understand it. The standard reading is that this is the film getting sentimental, leaning on emotion because the science got too complicated. I've heard that criticism 100 times, and in our view, it fundamentally misunderstands what Nolan is doing. Think about what the Tesseract actually is. Future humans built a structure inside a black hole that allows a man to reach back through time and communicate across 5 dimensions. And the only anchor point that makes it work is the specific emotional bond between a father and his daughter. Not coordinates, not scientific data, a relationship. Nolan took Brand's speech and made it structurally true. The plot only resolves because love, specifically Cooper's love for Murph, is the thing that survives the singularity. That's not sentimentality. That's the thesis of the entire film expressed as a plot mechanic. And I think it's the most quietly radical thing Nolan has ever put on screen. Here's what Interstellar is really about. Not wormholes, not relativity, not the survival of the human species. It's about a father who made a promise to his daughter that he couldn't keep, and what it costs a person when the most important thing they ever said turns out to be a lie. Cooper leaves. He tells Murph he'll come back. He doesn't know if that's true. And in the years that follow, she stops believing him. She stops talking to him. She burns the corn. She spends her life solving the equation that might save everyone, and part of her spends it punishing him for leaving. And the reason the ending works, the reason the Tesseract lands the way it does, is because it doesn't give Cooper what he asked for. He wanted to go back. He wanted to fix it. He wanted to undo the goodbye. Instead, he gets to reach through the bookshelf, tap out a message in the dust, and whisper, "Stay," to a version of his daughter who can't hear him. He saves the world from inside a moment he can never change, and then he lets go. Nolan didn't make a film about space. He made a film about the thing that makes space feel small. The distance between a parent and a child across time is the only dimension that actually matters in this story. And every light year Cooper travels is just another word for how far a person will go when they can't let go of someone they love. Do you think the love thesis works? Or is Brand's speech the weakest moment in the film? Because I've had that argument with people I genuinely respect and we've never agreed. Drop your take in the comments. I want to know which side you're on. Subscribe and hit the bell. We go deep on the Nolan films that most people think they've already figured out. And if you haven't seen our breakdown of what Inception's ending was really saying, that video is in the end screen right now. It connects directly to everything we just talked about.